Your boos don't mean anything. I see what you cheer for. Oddly enough, that's a Rick and Morty quote. But I feel that one just hits so powerfully. And it's so true that if you want to do something beautiful, if you want to do something different, if you want to stand apart from the crowd, from the rest, if you want to conduct the orchestra, you must turn your back to them. You must turn your back and ignore all the things that come with that. You cannot be afraid. You have to just accept that you will be different, that you will stand out and you'll be apart from others. And in the same token, to be honest, I don't understand why you'd want to be normal. I don't understand why you'd want to fit in. I look around at society and what we consider normal these days, what we consider acceptable and what we should strive for. And I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want my children to be a part of that. I want to demand greatness. I want to be the best that, I could possibly be. I want to do something completely different. And as, someone so lovingly pointed out, and they're like, well, it's not like you're super jacked or super wealthy. And I was like, no, not yet. Not fucking yet. But I'm head and shoulders above where I used to be. I'd say I'm head and shoulders above the average when you consider 2/3 of the population are fucking overweight or obese. When you look around at the average person, we discussed this the other day, if you look around at the average person, very, very fucking rarely do you see someone who's just not even fit, not even super in shape or healthy, just not fat. That in alone is rare. And that in alone is a sad fucking testament to our society. That just not being overweight means you're already above the average. It's fucking mind-boggling. But yeah, I'm not there. Like, I do pretty well for myself. I'm in pretty good shape. I would say I'm in well above average shape. But no, I'm not jacked out of my mind. My business isn't doing $1 million a year, but my wife is retired. I have 2 perfect children and a business that allows me to spend at least 3 or 4 hours every single day with my children. I'm building a secondary business. No, I am not the most successful one out there, but I'm definitely doing all right. And part of this is, well, I'm here to document and share as I build into those next phases. I want it all documented out. I want to share it all with you. And no, I can't teach you how to, get to $1 million yet because I haven't been there, or how to be stage ready shredded because I haven't been there yet. But the emphasis is on yet. If you're an entrepreneurial father, or a father, and you look in the mirror and you go, who the fuck is that man looking back at me? And you're disgusted by the stomach hanging over the waistband, the man tits, the fact that you can't play with your children the way you want to, that you're physically incapable, and if you tried to do some of the things they want you to do, you'd probably tear something or blow a joint. And you want to be better, and you want to step up and be a better version of yourself and start demanding greatness. Fuck yeah, I can help you. I've been there. I've been the height of hypocrisy. I was the overweight personal trainer. The fucking jokes of jokes. When I started this journey, I was about 30 kilos overweight. Lost that. Turned that into muscle. Stepped into being that father. who's built discipline, who's built grit, who's built determination. And I'm sharing the highs and lows as I go through this, because this isn't always fucking easy. It isn't. There are many days where I struggle with this, where I'm like, is it worth it? And I have to keep coming back to why I started it. For my daughter, for my son, for my wife, for those I serve, for you. And yeah, the answer is a resounding fuck yes, it's worth it. But that's why I started this. And so yeah, your boos don't offend me, because I know what you cheer for. And I know those who make comments, who criticize. Well, let's be realistic here. They're always beneath. Nobody who's doing better than you, nobody who's succeeding at a higher level than you is ever going to talk shit to you. It's only those who are at the bottom, those who are, who aren't doing the things, who are wishing they could do the things that you are doing. They're the ones who will criticize. They're the ones who will make comments. It's often the people who are the closest to you who criticize you the most. Those who have come through similar circumstances, who have been in the same place as you, those are the ones who will criticize you. Reason being is because you highlight that it is possible, that their bullshit excuses, their reasons for not doing it, all that kind of shit goes out the window. You highlight that it was a fucking choice. And that upsets them. That offends them. And they want to bring you back down. And it might not even be conscious. I have seen it before where I don't think it's conscious. I don't think it's a deliberate, fuck you. It's a subconscious thing of trying to stop you excelling, because it highlights everything that they weren't willing to do. It highlights everything they weren't willing to sacrifice for. The example I like on this one is my father. So my father was quite a good athlete. He was a naturally gifted athlete. And so was my sister. And I was not. I had to earn absolutely fucking everything I had. I was not athletically blessed. I was not genetically gifted. I earned everything I got. And anyway, when I was young and dumb and mean and couldn't figure out a better way to convey this to my father, I used to call him Fat Man. Deep down, it was because I wanted him to change, but, that's not really the best way to get someone to do it. Anyway, my dad took this in stride, and he was like, just you wait. Just you wait. Your time will come, and you will get fat, and you will see that this is just what life does. And this was a narrative that kept happening. So I used to call him this when I was 15. And eventually it faded away because I grew up a bit and wasn't a fucking child anymore, and I learned to make better life choices. But that always stuck with him. That always hung around. And so as I got older, there'd be these comments of we'd have discussions about his weight and his health and all this kind of stuff. And he'd be like, just you wait. And he's like, wait till you have kids. That's when it happened to me. So I had kids. And look, to his credit, as much as we're going to credit this, I did. I got fat. I got out of weight. I got out of shape. I told myself bullshit lies about it all, that because I was exercising, that it wasn't that bad. And it's like everyone happens. It's, you don't put on 30 kilos overnight. It doesn't happen from one fucking meal. It happens from consistent poor choices over and over and over again. But anyway, I did. And it wasn't till I fully had a wake-up call related to, my daughter and then my son, that I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And so I made a fucking choice. And this was the beginning of that choice. But I made a choice that wasn't acceptable. And my dad watched as I completely reversed all the poor choices I made. Completely reversed all of it. As I dropped the 30 kilos and as I continued to get into better shape. Every cycle of my training program, I get stronger, I get bigger, I get leaner, I get fitter. And my father watched this in awe and he was like, oh. And I was like, it's a fucking choice. But he can't come at that. So he keeps reverting back to this and he's like, oh, well, it won't last. You know, I did stuff like that too, and then it slipped away and it just gets worse and worse. And I was like, no. I refuse to ever go back to that man. I was so disgusted and ashamed at that man that I saw in the mirror. I don't ever want to go back to that. So I continue to do the work. I continue to keep pushing forward. But unfortunately for my father, to admit that this is true, to admit that my reality is accurate, that it is a choice and you can change those choices at any moment, would completely fucking destroy his reality. That he would have to completely rewrite how he thinks about himself and everything that goes with that. And so many people would have the same. If they admitted that your life is a direct reflection of your habits, your thoughts, and your choices, you'd have to change everything about your life. You'd have to admit that everything that you hate in your life is your fucking fault. And that's a hard place to be. That's a really confronting place to be. It's important. Nothing's going to change until you get there, but I get it. That's seriously confronting. That's seriously full on. To go, everything that I hate in my life, everything that makes me miserable, everything that makes me unhappy is my fucking fault. That's a hard pill to swallow. But it's a pill that you must swallow nonetheless. And it's why people criticize. It's why people boo. It's why people will throw shade at you, call you names, all that kind of stuff. Because, well, that's easier than admitting that it's your fucking fault. It's easier to call bullshit. It's easier to pick on people who are doing better than you, because that is an easier output than going, this is all my fucking fault, and now I'm going to have to make sacrifices. Now I'm going to have to make definitive choices, and I'm going to have to change. But that's why you're going to stay stuck. Unless you can honestly make those choices, unless you can honestly decide that that's where you're going to be, you're going to stay fucking stuck. You're going to stay repeating that cycle. Because, well, how else are you going to change? You can't continue doing the same thing and expect a different result. It's the definition of insanity. But true introspection and true self-reflection is hard and scary and daunting and all those things. And that's why people don't do it. Because, well, they don't want to have to deal with the realization that it's on you. It's your fault. And you have to take ownership of that. But as I've discussed before, that's also the greatest fucking gift under the sun. There is nothing greater than that gift. Because once you admit it's all your fault, once you admit that your reality is a direct reflection of your habits, your thoughts, and your choices, well, shit. Now, on the other side, the flip side of that is, well, you're in control of everything. You're in the fucking driver's seat, baby. You can make the choices. You can make the decisions to have the life that you want. You can make the choices to have everything you want, need, and desire. You just have to choose it. You just have to choose to do those things. That's the separator. That once you realize it is your fault, it's also the blessing that it's also within your power to have what you want out of this life. You just have to start making those decisions. That you recognize that it is. But you can make different decisions. This idea that we are stuck in here, stuck in this moment, is fucking bullshit. At any moment, at any point in time, you can make a different decision and build the life you want. It's never too late for that. Never. You can make a different choice at any point if you're willing to make those decisions. And it comes back to that one that I often talk about. It's really, really simple. It's not easy, but fucking simple as shit to make different life choices. Most of the time, you already know. Most of the time, you already know what is required, what is necessary. You know all the things that you need to do differently. They might not be perfect. They might not be the optimal usage of your time, but within reason, you know. You just have to make that choice. You know that you shouldn't eat the junk food. You know that you shouldn't drink the alcohol. You know that you shouldn't eat crap. You know that you should show the fuck up and do the work. You know these things. It's just whether you're willing to do these things. You know you need to exercise every single day. You know you should drink water. You know all the things. But the question is, are you going to do it? The question is, are you going to override your feelings about it, your old habits, and push into the next stage of you? Because, well, habits are the biggest one to break. Habits are the harshest ones. And they take longer and more commitment than you could imagine. And that's also based on, habitual patterns. I had one the other day where I was like, I'd followed a normal sequence and I was like, at the end of this, I'd choose a sedation method. Usually it'd be TV or social media scrolling. And I didn't even want to do it. But I was halfway through the pattern before I was like, what the fuck? No, I don't actually want to do it. But it was so ingrained that this sequence of events led to me sitting in front of the TV or scrolling on my phone. But that's a conversation for a whole another day. That's why it's 126 to greatness. Because it takes 126 days to break a negative habit and replace it with a positive one. That's 126 days with no exceptions, with no slip-ups, with no falls backs into previous habitual patterns. 126 days. That's why most people never break their habits. Because can you name one thing that you've done for 126 days in a row? Without exception, without a miss, without a fuck-up. 126 days. No? I didn't think so. So that's why it's so hard to break these things. But that's a story for tomorrow. But that's why when I cop criticism, that's why when people boo, it's why when people are like, why are you so extreme on this? It doesn't faze me. Because, well, I see what those types of people cheer for. I see what those people find exciting and thrilling and enthralling. And it's doing things that other people wouldn't do. It's fitting in with mediocrity. It's, barely existing, let alone living. Most people are just, well, as they talk about, on the rat race, in the matrix, on the, 9 to 5 grind. Dead at 25, waiting to be buried at 75. Whatever analogy you want to use. They are not living. They are just existing in this world. And that's not something that I want to be a part of. So, yeah, I'm going to stand out. Yeah, I'm going to be fucking different. Yeah, I'm going to break the mold of that. And I know I'm going to cop criticism and hate for that. And that's okay. Because I see what excites you. I see what you cheer for. And I don't want to be a part of that. So I'll take the criticism. I'll take the booze. Because this life is worth more to me than your approval. Well, not your approval. I know if you're watching this, you, at least in some kernel of your mind, agree with this and believe in this. And if you do, well, it's time to separate yourself as well. It's time to step the fuck up and become a different version of yourself. To start demanding greatness of yourself. Because you're worth it. You are worth it. And yeah, you will cop criticism. And you will face their boos. But look at what they cheer for. It isn't worth it anymore. It's time for you to become the man that you know you should be. So click the link in my bio. Let's join demanding greatness. And let's see who you can become on the other side of that. Can't wait to see you then.